Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive curated just for you. Today we're going to be looking at the film Anora. This movie's been generating a lot of buzz online, and we've got a whole collection of reviews and comments, and it seems like they're just overflowing with praise. So we thought we'd take a deep dive today and try to figure out what's got everyone so excited about this film, and maybe understand why it's resonating so strongly with people.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not just that the reviews are positive,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like the intensity of the passion behind them. It's not just like people saying Anora is a good film. It's like they're describing a transformative experience. It's almost like they feel the need to share this film with everyone they know.
So what's got their attention? What are they saying?
Well, one thing that's coming up a lot is Mikey Madison's performance. And it's
Yeah.
not just, your typical like good acting praise.
Mm-hmm.
These reviewers are using words like revelation and tour de force to describe what she's doing on screen.
Wow, those are some pretty strong words. Do they give any specifics, like any examples of what makes her performance so remarkable?
Yeah, they do actually. There's one scene in particular that keeps getting mentioned where her character confronts her partner about their financial imbalance. And she delivers this monologue, and reviewers are saying it's just this incredibly powerful moment. It's both vulnerable and terrifying at the same time. And people are saying it's the kind of scene that stays with you long after the movie's over.
So it's not just raw talent. It sounds like she's bringing a real depth and complexity to this character.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like she's tapping into something universal about the human experience.
Yeah.
Specifically like the experience of feeling betrayed and used by someone you love.
Right.
But it's not just about the emotional intensity either. Reviewers are also praising her ability to inject these moments, almost like a dark humor into her performance, which really keeps the audience guessing and adds another layer to the character.
Oh, interesting. So we've got this powerhouse performance driving the film. What about the movie itself? Like, how are they describing the overall experience of watching Anora?
Well, get ready for a wild ride because Anora doesn't really fit neatly into any one box. Reviewers are describing it as this roller coaster of emotions, blending dark comedy, raw sexuality, moments of pure chaos, and genuine heartbreak. One reviewer even likened it to that feeling you get when an MDMA high starts to turn sour, that initial euphoria that gives way to a much darker reality.
Wow, that's an intense comparison.
Yeah,
I'm starting to understand why people are calling this film unforgettable.
I think that analogy is really interesting too, because it speaks to the film's ability to surprise you. You might go in expecting one thing and it takes you in a completely different direction. And this unpredictable nature is another thing that reviewers are highlighting a lot. They're comparing it to the tonal shifts in movies like The Hangover or the anxiety-inducing roller coaster of uncut gems.
So it's a film that keeps you on the edge of your seat, not just because of the plot itself, but because you never quite know what to expect next.
Exactly.
I imagine that must be a pretty effective way to keep audiences engaged.
Oh, absolutely. And it seems like this genre-bending approach is actually serving a deeper purpose. While the film definitely has its share of entertainment value, reviewers are also pointing to its exploration of some pretty complex societal issues, particularly around class, wealth, and the way we kind of commodify human connections these days.
Ooh, now that's where it gets really interesting. So it's like Anora is using these unexpected genre elements to kind of sneak in some serious social commentary.
Exactly. One reviewer even went so far as to call the film a damnation of class, money, and human empathy. So it seems like Anora is holding up this mirror, some of the darker aspects of modern society, and kind of forcing us to confront the ways in which we exploit and devalue each other.
That's definitely a heavier theme than I was initially anticipating, but it also explains why this film seems to be sticking with people long after they've actually seen it.
All right, it's not just a fun night out at the movies. It's an experience that kind of stays with you and prompts you to really think about the world and your place in it.
I'm curious, do these reviews delve into any specific examples of how Anora explores these themes?
Well, several reviewers highlight the film's portrayal of relationships as a key element in all of this. And it's not your typical romantic comedy fare. We're talking about messy, complicated relationships, where the lines between love, power, and financial dependency are all blurred.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, one reviewer actually shared a personal anecdote about how Anora resonated with their own experience of feeling used and underappreciated in a past relationship. And apparently the film just captures this painful realization of investing your heart and your resources into someone who ultimately doesn't reciprocate those feelings. And it's a really raw and honest look at the potential for exploitation. within intimate relationships, especially when there's a power imbalance involved.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. I can see how that kind of raw honesty would really resonate with audiences, especially those who have, experienced similar dynamics in their own lives. It's like the film is giving a voice to those like unspoken anxieties and vulnerabilities
Yeah.
that we often try to bury.
You hit the nail on the head, and this exploration of toxic relationships goes beyond just the romantic couples in the film, too.
Yeah.
There's this character named Igor, who offers a particularly interesting perspective on the whole situation.
Okay, I'm listening. Who's Igor and what makes his perspective stand out?
So Igor is kind of like this friend of the main couple,
Yeah.
and he seems to have this really clear-eyed view of like all the dysfunctional dynamics at play. And one reviewer actually quoted a line of his that just like totally stuck with them. He says, they're both drowning, but they think they could use each other as life rafts.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was such a powerful image,
Oh.
It just perfectly encapsulates the film's whole exploration of how these characters are all like trying to find salvation in each other, but they're really just dragging each other down.
Yeah, that's such a powerful image and a really insightful observation from Igor. I mean, it sounds like this film, Anora, it's not afraid to explore like the darker sides of human nature, even within the context of relationships that are supposed to be based on love and support.
Exactly. And the fact that these insights are coming from like a supporting character like Igor
Hmm.
suggests that like the film is full of these like little nuggets of wisdom, these moments of clarity that really force you to kind of pause and reflect.
Okay, so we've talked about the acting, the genre-bending elements, the social commentary, and now I'm hearing that there's this element of wisdom or reflection. But reviewers are also calling this film unforgettable and praising the ending. What can you tell us about the ending without giving too much away?
Well, it seems like the ending is one of those things that you just kind of have to experience for yourself. Reviewers are being deliberately vague about the specifics because they don't want to spoil the surprise. But they are saying that it's both unexpected and emotionally resonant. One reviewer even mentioned like walking out of the theater and feeling like they needed to call a friend and just like process what they had witnessed.
So it's an ending that really leaves a lasting impact.
Exactly. And it's not just about shock value or a twist ending or anything like that. The impact seems to stem from like the way Anora builds up to this climax.
Yeah.
Carefully weaving together these complex characters and themes until they inevitably collide in a way that's both cathartic and unsettling.
All right, so we've got the acting, we've got the genre-bending elements, we've got the social commentary, we've got the unforgettable ending. I'm definitely hooked. But before I rush out to buy my ticket, I want to get a sense of the overall impact this film is having on viewers. Is there like a unifying thread that kind of ties all of these different elements together?
Well, one thing that's really fascinating is that amidst all of the darkness and chaos of this film, there's also this glimmer of hope that shines through. One reviewer described it as finding beauty in the brokenness.
Mm.
And I thought that was such a beautiful way to put it.
Okay, so it's not just like a bleak and cynical portrayal of humanity.
No, not at all. It's more about presenting like a nuanced view of human nature, with all of its flaws and complexities. Yes, there are characters who make selfish choices and hurt each other, but there are also these moments of genuine kindness, empathy, and even forgiveness. And it's that delicate balance between the darkness and the light that seems to be resonating so strongly with viewers.
I can see how that would make for a more engaging and thought-provoking experience. It's not just about like condemning or glorifying the characters. It's about understanding them as these flawed and complex human beings that they are.
Exactly. And I think that understanding extends beyond just the characters themselves to encompass like the systems and structures that shape their lives. Remember that reviewer who called Anora a damnation of class, money, and human empathy?
Yes, that line really stood out to me.
Right, and it's such a powerful statement.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the film's ability to connect these personal struggles to larger societal issues. Anora isn't just telling a story about like a group of individuals, it's also holding up this mirror to the ways in which our culture prioritizes wealth and status over like genuine connection and compassion.
So it's a film that works on multiple levels. It's entertaining, it's emotionally gripping, and it's thought-provoking all at the same time. No wonder reviewers are raving about it.
And it's not just the critics either. The comments from like everyday viewers are just as enthusiastic,
Yeah.
often highlighting specific moments or scenes that really resonated with them on a personal level. It's clear that Anora is striking a chord with people from all walks of life.
Yeah, I'm seeing a comment here that mentions learning something from the film, specifically Never marry a stripper in Vegas. Now, I'm not sure that's the takeaway the filmmakers intended,
Right.
but even a tongue-in-cheek comment like that speaks to the film's ability to spark conversation and make us question our assumptions.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's certainly more memorable than a film that just kind of washes over you. Yeah. And leaves you feeling indifferent.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of memorable, one element that reviewers consistently praise is the film's visual style. They're describing it as like gritty realism
Yeah.
and visually stunning without being flashy.
So it sounds like they're opting for a more naturalistic aesthetic, focusing on capturing like the raw energy of the characters and their environment, rather than relying on like fancy camera tricks or special effects.
Exactly. Several reviewers specifically highlighted the cinematography, praising its ability to like draw the viewer into the story without calling attention to itself.
I love it when a film manages to achieve that level of cohesion. It really elevates the storytelling, and it allows you to connect with the characters and the themes on a much deeper level.
Absolutely. Speaking of connection, I'm curious to hear what stands out to you the most from all these reviews. What's grabbing your attention?
One thing that keeps coming up for me is this contrast between like the bleakness of the film's world and that potential for hope that reviewers keep mentioning. And I'm really intrigued by that tension. How can a film that explores such dark and difficult themes also offer a sense of hope?
That's an excellent question, and I think it gets to the heart of what makes Anora so compelling. On the one hand, the film doesn't shy away from portraying the harsh realities of a world driven by greed, ambition, and the pursuit of like fleeting pleasures. We see characters making selfish choices hurting each other, struggling to find meaning in their lives.
Right, so it sounds like it's really tapping into that sense of emptiness and disillusionment that a lot of people are feeling these days.
Right. And yet, amidst all of that darkness, there are these moments of genuine connection, compassion, and even beauty that shine through. One reviewer talked about how the film makes room for hope in the bleakest of places.
That's beautiful. So it's not about offering easy answers or pretending that the world is all sunshine and rainbows. It's about acknowledging the darkness while still holding on to the possibility of something better.
Exactly. And I think that's a message that resonates really deeply with people. Especially in times like these, we're bombarded with so much negativity and cynicism these days, that it's refreshing to encounter a work of art that acknowledges the complexities of life without giving in to despair.
I agree wholeheartedly. It's a delicate balance to strike, and it sounds like Anora has managed to pull it off brilliantly.
I think so too. And ultimately, whether the film offers a definitive answer to the question of hope or leaves it open to interpretation is up to the individual viewer. That's the beauty of art. It allows us to engage with these big questions and come to our own conclusions.
Well said. I think we've covered just about everything in these reviews. From Mikey Madison's captivating performance to the film's genre-bending approach, and all of these thought-provoking themes, I'm definitely ready to see Anora for myself and experience this roller coaster of emotions firsthand.
I'm eager to hear your thoughts once you've had a chance to see it. I have a feeling this is a film that will stay with us for a long time.
I think you're right about that. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you, our listener, that this deep dive was created just for you. We hope you found it insightful and engaging. And if you have any thoughts about Anora or any other films you'd like us to explore, please don't hesitate to reach out.
We always love hearing from our listeners and learning about the stories that are captivating their imaginations.
And hey, maybe after you've seen Anora, we can do like a follow-up deep dive and compare your impressions with what we've discussed today. It'd be fascinating to explore how your own experiences and interpretations align with like the broader critical reception.
I would welcome that conversation. It's always fascinating to see how a film resonates with individual viewers and sparks these kinds of passionate discussions.
All right, there you have it, folks. The inside scoop on Anora and why it's making such a splash. A captivating performance, genre-bending storytelling, thought-provoking themes, and a whole lot of messy, complex human drama.
And don't forget that lingering question. Does the film ultimately offer hope, or is it a descent into bleakness? That's for you, our listener, to decide.
So go forth, watch the film, and let us know what you think. We'll be here ready to dive back in with you. And who knows, maybe by then we'll have even more reviews and comments to unpack.
Yeah, the conversation is always evolving, just like the art itself.
Exactly. All right, so that's it for our deep dive into Anora. We've covered a lot of ground today, but I think we've really only scratched the surface of what this film has to offer.
It's a film that really invites, multiple viewings. Each one kind of revealing new layers of meaning and complexity.
So to our listener, if you're looking for a cinematic experience that will stay with you long after the credits have rolled. Anora might just be the film for you.
Right.
It's raw, it's honest, it's messy, and it's definitely going to make you think.
And perhaps even feel a glimmer of hope amidst all the chaos.
We can't wait to hear your thoughts. Until next time, happy viewing.